You're listening to KYRS Medical Lake Spokane on 88.1 and 92.3 FM, and this is KYRS Local News. I'm Megan Burton. Washington State's Supreme Court ruled last Thursday to abolish the death penalty in our state. The decision stated that the death penalty was not only unconstitutional, but also racially biased. The justices cited a 2014 University of Washington study which found that jurors in the state were, quote, more than 4 times likely to impose a death sentence if the defendant is black, end quote. Chief Justice Mary E. Fairhurst wrote the opinion, and 4 justices concurred. The justices focused on the unequal and arbitrary use of the death penalty. The case that brought the issue to the Washington State Supreme Court was about Alan Eugene Gregory. Gregory was convicted and sentenced to death for the rape and murder of Janine Harshfield in July 1996. Washington State Governor Jay Inslee said in a statement after the Thursday ruling that, quote, the court makes it perfectly clear that capital punishment in our state has been imposed in an arbitrary and racially biased manner, is unequally applied, and serves no criminal justice goal. This is a hugely important moment in our pursuit for equal and fair application of justice, end quote. Washington Attorney General Bob Ferguson praised what he called an important decision, stating, quote, next session, I will again propose legislation repealing the death penalty, replacing it with life in prison without the possibility of parole, end quote. While many appear to be praising the decision, some families are feeling left behind. The Spokesman Review spoke with Sherry Saver, whose daughter was killed by Dwayne Woods over 20 years ago. Her daughter's killer was spared the death penalty as he filed appeals that delayed the process until Governor Jay Inslee placed a moratorium on the death penalty in 2014. Saver was hoping to have the chance to see justice served for her loss, but Woods died of cardiac arrest while on death row. This ruling makes Washington the 20th state to strike down the death penalty in a time when capital punishment is being used less and states struggle to obtain the drugs needed for lethal injection. Some states struggled with what to do with scheduled executions and prisoners already on death row. But the moratorium by Governor Inslee means that this ruling will not stop any executions in Washington, because none were scheduled. Those on death row currently in Washington will have sentences commuted to life in prison and will most likely be moved to a different facility. In other news, Spokane was named one of the best cities in America to visit by well-known travel planning website TripAdvisor. The city got this title because of its variety of activities. TripAdvisor listed the Skyride, the Mobus Children's Museum, Spokane Falls, and the Giant Red Radio Flyer Wagon at Riverfront Park, in addition to our great outdoors. 4 other cities were named in the Northwest category, including Seward, Alaska, Florence, Oregon, McCall, Idaho, and West Yellowstone, Montana. In our next story, the Trump administration has published a proposed rule that would make it harder for legal permanent residents who have used certain types of public benefits to get a green card. The public comment period is now open for 60 days. Here's Eric Tekoff of the Washington News Service with more.
People can now officially weigh in on a proposal by the Trump administration to punish legal permanent residents who have used certain public benefits by making it harder for them to get a green card or visa. The proposal comes despite studies that show legal permanent residents use benefits such as the Supplemental Nutrition Assistance Program or Medicaid at rates similar to U.S. citizens. The public comment period on the rule change will last through December 10th on the website regulations.gov. Ben Monteroso with the group Mi Familia Vota sees the move as cruel.
It's trying to continue the narrative that President Trump did, that immigrants are bad people and freeloaders, lazy people, and criminals is another attack to the Latino community.
He points out that undocumented migrants aren't eligible for most kinds of public assistance. The Department of Homeland Security says people who receive these types of aid should be declared a public charge, which would count against them if they apply for a green card or visa. The rule would also make it harder to get a green card for people who make less than $15,000 a year, regardless of whether they've received public benefits. Monteroso says he hopes voters will remember this issue in the November elections.
They've been attacking the community, expecting and hoping that the community is not going to defend themselves, but I think it's going too far. Because this is the time that we can use our power to elect people that actually respects the community and see us as part of the country and not as strangers that can be disposable workers.
The move is part of a series of federal actions targeting the immigrant community, some of which are tied up in litigation, including termination of the DACA and TPS programs, stepped-up immigration raids, separating parents and children at the border, and moves to end the policy that allows migrants to sponsor family members to come to the U.S. For Washington News Service, I'm Eric Tegedoff.
You've been listening to KYRS Local News at 6 a.m. and 4 p.m. KYRS Local News receives support from the Smith Barbieri Progressive Fund, a charitable foundation. More information at smith-barbieri.com. KYRS Local News receives support from the Community Building Foundation, empowering local organizations to help our community experience justice, vibrancy, and sustainability. Our theme music is from bensound.com. To send us news tips or comment on our show, our email is news@kyrs.org.